Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan with your August RV industry update as seen from the perspective of our little Midwestern dealership here. It's been a couple months since I did this, but I think it's high time I kind of reset and reframe some expectations. We're going to talk about some things like what is going on with RV pricing, expectations in terms of lead times, like if you order something or if I order something, when is it going to come in today? As well as some long-term market projections in both the used and the new RV markets and what I think might be happening not just the next couple months, but potentially over the next couple years. Also, a little bit of good news for international campers. Well, the 2022s are finally in full swing, which is, interestingly, it's funny, the manufacturers all agreed around June would be the first time they'd start putting those out. And then it sounded like a lot of manufacturers said, well, around July we'll finally start doing that. And it wasn't really until mid-July when the manufacturers take their little summer break that we saw the majority of the changeover. And at this point, there's a couple things that have been held up for shortages that might still arrive as 21 at dealer inventories, not just at Haylett RV, but across the nation. But for the most part, at this point, manufacturers are in full 22 swing. What has been a very nice breath of fresh air is during that manufacturer annual summer shutdown period where they let all their workers take a little, family vacation with the kiddos. I don't know how else to say it. It got rough. It got lean out here. And I know that we're not the only ones that are a little low on inventory. Now I'm walking around and you see some stuff in the background right now. We have seen, since the summer vacation shutdown ended and the manufacturers all pretty much got back to work, we've seen an increased clip of arrivals, new RV arrivals, which has just been awesome, something that we could really need around here, and I know a lot of places. That being said, an increased clip of RV arrivals isn't like the 8 or 10 a day that we really need to try to rebuild our inventory. We're getting 1 or 2 or 3 a day. So every weekday we're seeing about 2 arrivals currently. Now, that could change, it could go up, it could go down. That could be because during that shutdown period, manufacturers took that time to continue receiving parts. So they were able, when they came back, to be able to burn through a bunch of old shortages, get some things out, and go back to work on the new stuff as it's coming out. Thing is, though, like I said, even at receiving a couple per day, the current level of pent-up demand is still at levels that I don't know that people necessarily realize. Actually, hold on. I've got the perfect example for you. Listen to this. So, this RV landed at 1:13 p.m. By 1:16 p.m., there was already a payment placed on it and already a credit app pending. Took 3 minutes real time from the moment it landed on our lot before somebody was already all over it. And that is why, and I'm going to move you around, so if you're motion sick, you might want to not look, but that is why the lot looks like this. We've had so many local people stopping in, asking us, are you guys going out of business? No, quite the opposite. We have overwhelming demand. We're just receiving underwhelming supply. So people have said, yeah, but I've driven through northern Indiana. I've driven past the manufacturers, and their yards are full of trailers. How do you explain that, smart guy? And the answer to that is actually quite simple. Those RVs aren't done. Trailers don't sit in a manufacturer's yard when they're complete. They are, basically hooked and hauled to like a shipping yard because the factories don't actually deliver them here. Third-party shipping companies are the ones that actually bring them to the dealerships. If it's sitting in the manufacturer's yard, it's short something, missing something. It could be a window, a microwave, it could be an air conditioner, it could be any number of things that effectively cripples the RV and makes it unable to be shipped or sold. There have been some reports of some dealerships requesting incomplete trailers just to have something on the grounds so that they can have something to show their customers. Then basically they're finishing the work like almost some assembly required after it arrives. That is something that can happen exclusively as a matter of dealership discretion. The manufacturers are not shipping intentionally incomplete units out to facilities. I've talked about that, but it's been several months ago, and I know that we have a lot of new viewers since then, and I kind of thought that I needed to reiterate that one a little bit, just in case it's something that you ran into. So while if I'm really careful and picky with my camera angles, I could probably keep a couple campers in the background of this footage at all times. But unfortunately, for the most part, this is still what our facility looks like. Now, we have 11 acres on the grounds here. We have another 4 acres across the street where normally this is all flooded with campers, and then all of the extra copies are basically closed up, slides closed, and packed together across the street. I always say it like we've got, some in the clip and some in the chamber right here. Well, right now everything's in the chamber, and right now it's like we're scrounging for bullets, basically. Well, not literally, we're not a bullet dealer. Never mind, you know what I mean. So all I'm saying here is that we are still a ways off from seeing our inventory healed. So that means that still more and more people are opting to basically order out of the catalog or watch a video or see a trailer in person maybe that's sold or something at a campground and then go order one like it or something like that. So if you do that, when are you expecting to get your camper? Well, it naturally varies greatly from brand to brand, but depending on which of, say, at least the brands that we work with here at Haylett RV, which we're varied enough that I think that this is a pretty good national indicator. If you place an order today, I'm hearing from some companies anywhere from around October, which is, a couple, 3 months or something like that, which I don't think is a terrible time frame by any stretch of the imagination, given everything else that's been going on. That doesn't seem terrible. Up to, October is about the best I've heard, up to, Josh, I don't know, tell them give or take 6 months. And it depends on the brand. Again, some of the more incredibly popular, highest volume brands are really just so backlogged right now, it's not even funny. To give you an idea, I've heard from, again, all these same people, their backlog, if they stop taking orders today, they could still be building stuff at their current rates of production anywhere from 1 to almost 2 years from now. So one of the other things I asked is, I said, okay, your current rate of production, how many days a week are you working? Because I know that there have been a lot of cases with a lot of shortages. Workers have shown up to the factories hoping for that truck to come in with that part, that box full of widgets today. If the box full of widgets doesn't show up, they haven't been able to get anything built or done because the manufacturers' yards are full of units plugged with shortages right now, so they can't just keep cranking stuff out. That's something I've talked about in previous months. That has not gone away. That has continued. And it seems like every time they start to get caught up, it just happens all over again. But I'm hearing some encouraging things from several different manufacturers out there, some efforts to help expand production. Like I know for a fact Cougar, some of the Wildwood division are getting expanded production where they will be able to hopefully start in a more timely manner, meeting more demand and being able to fulfill that more quickly. Because they know, like I know when I put this stuff out there, I know that somebody watching this is probably not going to buy an RV right now because some of what they're hearing is discouraging. I know that that's a risk I suppose I take when I put this out there. I also believe very wholeheartedly that when you're ready, you'll appreciate the fact that we don't pull those punches. We give you a little bit of a look behind the curtain. And in an effort just to be fair, I don't want to be seen as only pumping the brands that we carry here. Do I obviously have a vested interest in doing that? Absolutely. But to be fair, one of the things I thought is really cool is that Heartland has recently announced a new production facility being added into St. Joe County in southern Michigan. That's the county right next to us, so like an hour away. And I really like hearing that for a lot of reasons. One, awesome for Michigan economy. Industry really is the thing that drives everything. Like you see a lot of commercial and residential around here. It's nice to see some production stuff come through. But also it's going to tap into new labor pools because like Middlebury, Elkhart, Goshen, they are very tapped out. You can build new plants, but there's only so many people to work around there. So it is nice to see manufacturers making efforts to try to step up to meet that demand. So why haven't they done it sooner? And the short answer is they've been working on it. That stuff takes time. Finding the property, making the agreements, getting the facility built, all of that stuff. Not to mention, like, think of all the copper wire that goes into building an RV production plant and they don't really have enough copper wire to build their RVs right now. It's one of those things where it hurts going in, but it feels better coming out. Kind of like that third plate of food at the buffet. Woo! And now the part of the video that nobody wants to hear. I don't want to share it, you don't want to hear it, but this has happened. There has been, as of August 1st, almost every major brand has had another price increase come through. Now that is not uncommon when a model year changes, like going from the 21s to, again, the bulk of the 22s are out there now. It has been a larger increase than in previous years. It has really been in line with the previous increases that we've seen several times earlier this year. Instead of a normal annual model change 1 to 2% nudge, we've seen about a 2 to 5% in some cases price increase on various products. It really varies by brand and by material, and that's really been the challenge. Now, I have seen some things that I'm no different than you. I have the same level of paranoia as anyone else, and a healthy dose of paranoia is not always a bad thing, mind you. But I have seen some things, like I know that wood prices are still ridiculous. I have seen them taper off and I've seen them drop a little bit, but I haven't really seen material costs or manufacturing costs as a whole go down. And I've seen this not just in the RV industry. Like, take a look at this. This is a picture of a bunch of vehicles that are built and waiting on container ships to come into the country just for chips. So, I mean, it's not just wood and copper. There's a lot of different things that are really causing a lot of different challenges through a lot of different industries. It's home, it's appliances, it's furniture, RVs, marine, automotive, obviously. But if you're really not aware, here's what's kind of been happening is for like health and safety regulations, and it seems to vary a little bit by destination. Like container ships they show up outside of our country and they're basically forced to just sit there in the water for like 30 days doing nothing, just totally chokeholding all sorts of import-export sort of processes. It seems that things coming in through the East Coast come in a little more quickly and easily. On the West Coast, I've really noticed, like, talking to various suppliers, not just RV manufacturers, but all sorts of different suppliers from different things. And from doing these videos, I've actually had several various suppliers contact me and give me some more insights on stuff like this, which is where I'm getting this information. I don't just, you can Google this stuff, basically, if you'd like to verify. But the things that after they sit for a while, especially on the West Coast, tend to go into a holding yard for a while, and then they might get moved to a distribution warehouse, like we'll just say in Chicago or something like that, where they're forced to sit there again. And in the meantime, what's happening is all of these different companies that are moving this stuff, they are charging the buyer of these products, pieces, materials, whatever it is, storage fees. Even though that company didn't want that stuff stored, because it's sitting there for various inspection or clearance reasons, they're getting dinged for storage. So the stuff's coming in slower. They're having to recoup their costs for storage. I have seen, this is a whole nother thing. I have seen where some companies have tried to reroute some things to be accepted through Canada and then come down through our borders through essential shipping lanes. It sounds like, though, a lot of the workers up there aren't really happy with how things are panning out. And there's rumor of like a Canadian dock strike, which is going to throw another monkey into this chain. Those are the sorts of things that are happening behind the scenes to contribute to stuff like this. Now, I know for a fact, someone's going to say, this guy's full of it. I've gone by dealership XYZ and they're full of RVs. I know there's some places out there that have RVs. I'm aware of this. There's usually a few consistent reasons for it, and I've drawn these conclusions based on feedback from viewers who have actually taken the time not just to look at a lot, but to actually stop in and inquire about things like pricing, or are you actually selling these? And what they found is that a lot of dealerships are either holding inventory for display models and ordering off those, or they're saying, well, if you want to buy my display model, you better make it worth my time. So they're not selling as many units, but they're making killer money on the ones they sell. I'm not condemning those sorts of activities. That's free market economy. Every place is free to do the business how they like. We tried to adopt a display model policy. I've talked about it before. We failed because when a person comes in, they're standing there looking, well, obviously I'm pointing at nothing, but you've got a thing sitting here. That's a used RV. I'm not doing good at my background footage right now because I'm wandering and not paying attention. You get the idea. I got a trailer sitting right here. They want to go camping. How do you tell them no? You know? So there's a lot of different challenges in a lot of different industries that are leading to a lot of shortages. And we've seen that demand through the roof still. And again, it just doesn't show any signs of stopping soon. Which leads me to the next thing. That potential flood of used RVs that people have thought about and I actually speculated about last month, well, I wouldn't bank on that happening anytime soon. I mentioned when I talked about it last month, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, and I had a feeling it would come back to bite me a little bit. That's fine. I can acknowledge that. But I might have been seeing a little bit of a false positive. What I saw is, like, in 2 days we had 15 consignment listings down at our consignment sales store where we sell things for people. And I was like, are we seeing a change in the wind here? And since then it has really cooled back off to pretty normal levels. And I wondered if that slug that I saw wasn't due to the fact that we quit taking listings for a little bit because we were opening a new building down there. And I think that may have kind of been what it was. Now, something we've always done, but something we've advertised more recently is that if you have an RV, not only can we consign it, if you just want to be done with it, we can buy it outright, which is most of what you're seeing behind us here. We have had several takers come to us from the local area and say, sure, give me a buyout figure for mine, I'll throw the hitch in, we'll just be done with it. And we've seen a number of those. There are definitely people who are, for whatever reason, haven't camped, can't camp, can't find a place to camp. Campground congestion continues to be a challenge. Solar development continues to be a thing to get people off grid more, to let you camp your way, when and how you please. But with such a lack of available new RV inventory, even though we are seeing a healthy clip of things come in, and especially a consignment sale or an outright purchase that a dealership makes just buying you straight out of the camper, you figure that's an influx of inventory into the stream, or whatever phrase you want to use. I don't know, you get the idea. It's plus inventory. It's like if you buy a camper and trade one in, that's an even trade. If you're a first timer, you're taking inventory out of the system. Despite that, because there's still such a pent-up demand. If you get something like this, like, if it's like a late model 2021, 19, something like that, someone who is looking for a new RV goes, well, that ain't all bad. As long as you can show me everything's in good working order, I'll pick that off. So a lot of the available used inventory is getting picked off by those folks who are hoping to find a new RV, but just wanted to go camping in the meantime and are thinking, well, we'll use this. We'll get the used RV price tag, we'll go out for a couple years, and we'll trade it in a few years from now to get the one that we were looking at initially, or see what's out there at the time. So, is it possible that we could see this flood or glut or slug or influx or whatever you want to call it of used RVs eventually? Sure. Again, I don't foresee that happening. I don't foresee it happening just from what I'm observing around here for like a year or more. I could be wrong though. This is just what I'm seeing. This is just what I'm thinking. I absolutely welcome all kinds of input. If you have a different idea, a different opinion, if you're seeing different things in your region, please leave a note. Let us know. Let's have a discussion. Most of the information I get from this video, a lot of it's actually sourced from you folks. So you're as much of a resource as various suppliers or manufacturer reps or anything like that as anything. I really enjoy hearing from you guys. Let me know what you think, what you're seeing, what you expect. And how about some good news? After all that, let's have some good news. International campers rejoice. It sounds like, as of August 9th, the U.S.-Canadian border for general travel, leisure, non-essential transit, may be reopening for vaccinated individuals. Now, this does hinge upon a couple things. You do need to have taken a Canadian government-approved vaccine, which I'm shooting from the hip here. I believe Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, and Moderna are the four that they have approved. Another interesting note here, if you have a child 12 years old or younger, who at this point, like here in the States, I don't believe they're eligible for vaccination, as long as their parents have been vaccinated, and you do need to have your little vaccination card so you can prove it, they're giving an exemption to the younger people. It's a small thing, but it is a very encouraging thing to see, again, any little return to normalcy, whatever we want to call it, normality, normal reality, as it were. Is normality a word, or? And I think at this point, I could probably go on more. I always got something I could talk about, but we'd probably get off topic pretty quickly. If you found anything beneficial here, if you have something to share, discussion, comparison, whatever, please leave us some comments. If you appreciate the information that we bring you, if you find it useful, beneficial, even if you just appreciate the transparency and you're not really in the market right now, hit the like button. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe and join us here at Haylett RV. We're family owned and operated, and I'll keep doing these videos as long as I can. Short of that, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy Haylett camping, everyone. Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan with your August Nope. Take 37.